My marriage story went from ordinary to out of control and then to a difficult process of repair. I'm 35 this year, my husband is 39, we've been married for 8 years, and he was my first love. Looking back, if it weren't for all the drama that happened later, our days might have just continued on peacefully. I'm not particularly conservative. I usually wear professional attire and present myself in a dignified and appropriate way. My husband, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. He's open-minded and likes to try new things. As our child gradually grew up, our relationship slowly cooled off. If we had sex even once a month, that was already considered good, and even then, it was nothing special. It wasn't until 2020 that a single movie completely changed the course of our lives and plunged us into an unexpected marital crisis. A rift that started with a movie. In 2020, my husband started getting addicted to the internet. At first, he just read the news, browsed forums, and occasionally watched some adult films. One day, he happened to click on a Western movie about married couples. The provocative scenes in it suddenly reignited the spark in our otherwise dull married life. That long-lost passion came rushing back like a tide, making us feel as if we were in the throes of young love again. However, this brief moment of excitement turned out to be the key that opened Pandora's box. After watching the movie, my husband started bringing up the topic of partner swapping from time to time. I thought he was just joking, so I brushed it off with a few casual remarks and didn't take it seriously. Who would have thought he actually meant it? He secretly searched for related information on some forums and even got in touch with people who were enthusiastic about this lifestyle. One time, I accidentally discovered him browsing related websites. The screen was filled with stories and photos about partner swapping. I was shocked, but also a little curious. Do people really live like this in real life? Since I didn't strongly object, my husband thought I was giving tacit approval and started looking even more actively for suitable partners. After the Spring Festival in 2021, he suddenly showed me an email from a man in Tianjin named Longxing. The email said he was willing to get in touch with us. I was furious at the time. I never thought he would actually go through with it. He quickly tried to calm me down, saying it was just to test the waters and if I disagreed, he would cut off contact immediately. I felt a vague sense of unease, but my curiosity and some complicated emotions kept me from firmly refusing, which basically meant I tacitly agreed. Psychological analysis. Psychologists point out that curiosity and the desire for novelty are human nature, but in a marriage, this curiosity can be amplified, especially when the relationship becomes monotonous. Studies show that long-term monotony in intimate relationships may lead some people to seek excitement to fill the emptiness, but such behavior often comes with high risks and can damage trust and emotional bonds. The first attempt, the beginning of absurdity and contradiction. Not long after, we arranged to meet for the first time. Longxing is 185 centimeters tall, with a burly build, looking like a mafia boss. Standing in front of my husband, who is 173 centimeters tall, his presence was completely overwhelming. We couldn't help but exchange a glance and laugh, easing some of the tension. Longxing was actually very easygoing. He introduced some things about the circle, and the conversation was fairly pleasant. But since it was my first time encountering something like this, I was so nervous inside that I felt like a taut string, and even my smile was stiff. Longxing noticed my unease in the rear-view mirror and said with a smile, "Mrs. Xu, it's your first time, right? It's normal to be nervous. You can back out at any time. If it doesn't work out, we can just chat as friends." My face flushed instantly, and I lowered my head, not daring to say a word. After dinner, we went to his place, a 2-story penthouse. The bay window overlooked the Tianjin development zone, and the view was beautiful. Longxing's wife, whom we called sister-in-law, was almost 40. She looked ordinary, about 160 centimeters tall, on the thin side, and worked as a university lecturer. She had a decent presence. After dinner, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Everyone sat in the living room watching TV, and the silence made things feel tense. Longxing broke the ice by suggesting we go upstairs to see Li Ji. My husband glanced at me. I didn't say anything, so he nodded in agreement. When we got to the bedroom, sister-in-law casually sat on the bed and my husband plopped down on the other side without a care. I carefully sat down on the tatami by the window. Longxing put on a movie about swapping partners. The scenes felt both familiar and strange. Before long, Longxing sat down next to me and started getting handsy. My heart raced with nerves. I tried to avoid him but couldn't completely get away. My husband was watching from the side, but surprisingly he didn't stop it. What happened next felt like a dream, wild and absurd. After it was over, everyone felt a bit awkward. We exchanged a few words and then quickly found excuses to leave. On the way home, my husband and I barely spoke, both of us filled with mixed emotions. On one hand, I felt this whole thing was outrageous and went against my values. On the other hand, there was an unspeakable sense of excitement. This contradiction made me miserable. Psychological studies show that engaging in unconventional intimate behaviors can trigger dopamine release, bringing a brief sense of excitement. But this excitement is often accompanied by negative emotions such as guilt and shame. In the long run, such behavior may lead to emotional alienation and even undermine the foundation of trust in a marriage. A game out of control, from curiosity to numbness. After the first experience, my husband seemed to have opened the door to a new world and became even more enthusiastic about finding partners. It felt like I was being dragged into a quagmire. The more I struggled, the deeper I sank. Over the next 2 years, we met with several other couples, and each time the process was almost identical. We would meet, feel awkward, watch some videos, and then go home separately. I gradually became numb, as if my body and emotions were split apart, but inside I felt more and more pain. Once, we met a young couple. The wife was especially beautiful, with a sweet and charming smile. My husband's gaze toward her completely changed. Jealousy burned inside me like fire, but I had nowhere to vent it. After all, we were both part of this game. What right did I have to blame him? When I interacted with the other husband, I once again fell into that crazy and absurd state, but afterward I hated myself even more and felt that our marriage was falling apart. Sociologists point out that open relationships or unconventional intimacy require high trust, communication, and clear boundaries between parties. Otherwise, they are likely to lead to jealousy, suspicion, and emotional breakdown. Studies show that over 60% of couples who participate in such activities eventually break up or divorce due to a crisis of trust. After one of these events, when I returned home and saw the familiar furniture and photos of my child, I suddenly broke down, hugging a pillow and crying my heart out. I felt that I had let my child down and betrayed the beautiful vows I once made with my husband. After crying, I tried to talk to my husband and suggested that we end this absurd behavior and return to a normal life. But he countered, "Didn't you also find it exciting?" He then asked, "Isn't it good the way things are now?" I was left speechless by his question. Yes, I am also responsible for not being firm enough to refuse. Later, we heard that a couple who had participated in the partner swapping ended up in a huge conflict due to family issues. The wife insisted on a divorce, and the husband kept pestering her. This incident gave me a shock, and I became afraid that our family might end up the same way. I had another serious talk with my husband and demanded that we put a complete end to this behavior. He was silent for a long time but finally nodded in agreement. Psychologists point out that long-term participation in behaviors that go against one's personal values can lead to cognitive dissonance, manifesting as self-denial, anxiety, and even depression. This state may require professional psychological intervention to repair. Now, we are trying hard to return to a normal life, but those experiences linger like shadows that won't go away. During our intimate moments, I can't help but recall those scenes, and my husband has also become silent and awkward. We try to rebuild our relationship by traveling and spending time with our child, but the scars in our hearts still ache quietly from time to time. In order to repair our marriage, we began to take some practical steps. First, seeking professional help. We consulted a marriage counselor to learn how to rebuild trust and communication. The counselor suggested that we schedule a weekly emotional conversation, openly sharing our feelings to gradually heal the rift. Second, rebuilding intimacy. We tried starting with simple physical contact, such as holding hands and hugging, gradually restoring a sense of closeness to each other. Studies have shown that regular, non-sexual intimate contact helps strengthen the sense of security between spouses. Third, adjusting our lifestyle. We started exercising together, like running or practicing yoga every week, which not only improved our physical condition but also gave us more topics to share. A healthy lifestyle helps boost sex hormone levels and improve intimacy. Fourth, setting clear boundaries. We agreed not to engage in any behavior that could harm our marriage and to respect each other's feelings. According to the Journal of Marriage and Family Studies in 2023, the key to rebuilding trust in marriage lies in honest communication, shared goals, and professional support. Both partners need to work together to set clear boundaries and rebuild emotional connection through everyday actions such as spending time together on shared interests. Looking back on this experience, I often regret it. If I hadn't watched that movie, if I had firmly refused my husband's suggestion, maybe we could have kept that simple yet happy life. There are some novelties in marriage that should never be touched. Once you do, it's like opening Pandora's box. Desire and absurdity will consume the happiness you once had. Perhaps my story can offer some insight to other couples. Honest communication is fundamental. Any attempt to change something in a marriage requires thorough discussion and mutual agreement. Curiosity or compromise from only one side can lead to irreversible harm. Be wary of external temptations. The internet and media can amplify your craving for excitement, but these are often fleeting pleasures that come at the cost of long-term pain. Protect the boundaries of your marriage. No matter how ordinary life may seem, trust and respect are the cornerstones of marriage. Any action that could undermine these foundations should be considered very carefully. We are still working hard to mend this family that has been riddled with wounds. The process is very difficult, but we hope to slowly regain the warmth we once had with sincerity and patience. If you are also facing confusion in your marriage, try having an honest conversation with your partner or seek professional help. Marriage is not a game. It is something worth cherishing for a lifetime.